Kamaru Usman had a message for Belal Muhammad today. Recently, Belal stated that his next title defense will be against either Usman or Shavkat Rakhmonov. Usman posted this to X today. He wrote, "Alright, enough of the nice guy. You were never chasing me, bum. You were barely in the rankings when I dominated the division. For your information, I have a win over Leon, son." Belal fired back at Usman. He wrote, "Dominated the division? You beat Masvidal twice and went to a cardio kickboxing war with Colby twice. Colby sucks. You were protected by the UFC. Now you can barely walk. Your podcast sucks, and your part in Black Panther sucked." He followed up with, "You should give Ali your phone. You're not good at Twitter, bro." Chael Sonnen believes that Tony Ferguson double-crossed Michael Chiesa with his post-fight interview. Chael is surprised by Tony's quote-unquote disconnect of mental awareness. Chael said, "At some point, we're going to have some real tough love for Tony Ferguson here. He just set a record for the most straight losses in UFC history. I don't have a problem with a guy slowing down. I got a big problem with him getting taken down, getting his back taken, which is what you learn in the very first day of jiu-jitsu, and not hand fighting. The fact that Tony's in there almost like he's working with him, like he's making a technique video or something for the rear naked choke, that's a problem for me. Taking one glove off was kind of cool until I heard why he's doing it, because he wants another fight and he isn't sure if the UFC is going to give it to him. Well, let me help you out there. I'm real sure the UFC is not going to give it to you. I'm a little bit surprised with the disconnect of mental awareness for what was going on, or even being handed a microphone that you don't deserve and only got because you're going to retire. Then you pull the retirement back and don't shine up Chiesa, who gave you the microphone in the first place. It was a real bit of a double cross, frankly. I'm completely confident in telling you that there's not going to be a return. Grappling is what Tony Ferguson does so well. He's just a fantastic guy on the ground. I have a problem with the fact that he didn't hand fight. It seemed like there was some very basic awareness of very basic steps that weren't being done, in conjunction with an interview that I could give a pass to had a guy just got knocked out. It wasn't like that. This needs to stop. It's not fun anymore." Daniel Cormier does not like how 12-6 elbows are now legal in the UFC. DC compares it to street fighting.
I don't like that.
Why?
I don't like 12-6 elbow, and I don't like soccer kicks. I do not want to see soccer
kicks. I fought under soccer kick rules in Asia with one championship. Soccer kicks are stupid because pretty much the only time you can land them is when the fighter, it's pretty much already over, right?
It's already done.
But why don't you like the 12-6 grounded elbow?
So there's a little bit of a difference, right? So when I was fighting Rumble Johnson, you can't do this, like just straight down.
Yes.
But if you do a little bit of an arch, it's okay.
Or
which is
an angle a little bit, yeah.
Angle and arch. So I was able to cut Rumble with like an arching elbow, but it really did come straight down. It was very little in terms of not being straight up and down. I just don't want anything that makes fighting look like a street fight. One of the reasons John McCain, before he passed, was against fighting because he said it's human fighting. Then they would show these videos of like gang fights and people running around and people on the ground and they would just kick them in the face. You know how that happens. I don't care as much about 12-6 elbows, but I think the moment we start opening those rules again,
I agree. Thumbs down.
Then it's going to be more and more and more, and then ultimately we'll get back to soccer kicks.
Well,
because now you do know that now, hands down, starting in November, is not grounded anymore.
That's perfect.
Francis Ngannou admits that he pondered retirement following the passing of his 15-month-old son, Kobe. He says he now wants to fight for his son. Francis is now booked for his PFL MMA debut. He will be fighting the 2023 heavyweight tournament champion, Renan Ferreira, on October 19th. Speaking to Sky Sports, Francis said, "I think it has been by far my hardest moment in life. I lost my son. For some time, I feel like I didn't even have to do this. We're questioning about if I should do it or fight again. But I want to do something good in his memory. Not to be the reason for me to quit, but to be motivation and also to fight for him. It's not that I have come close to retiring. It's just that in this circumstance, you have different thoughts. You see how fragile life is. You feel hurt, you feel powerless, you feel useless. You're questioning about your existence, about the importance of all of this, or life in general." Robert Whittaker discusses Tony Ferguson and whether or not he should retire after the recent loss to Michael Chiesa. Rob feels that Tony just doesn't have that do or die mentality anymore, and once he gets in the octagon, he almost looks lethargic.
I'm not going to say yes or no to that because Ferguson can do what he wants. I don't know anyone that could have like the bit of a slide like he and still be in the UFC. I think we looked it up before. He's had 8 losses in a row. Nobody else does that. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Ferguson. Like I remember watching when he fought Pettis, and I was just thinking, like, he's so good. How do people beat him? Like, it was just such a good fight to watch.
Yeah,
dude was an animal. but I just feel like he doesn't have that do or die mentality in there anymore. I feel like he's got a great mentality for fighting, but then once he gets in there, he gets lethargic mentally, if that makes sense. He's like, here we go again, sort of thing. I feel that's how I felt about Nick Diaz the last time we saw him. That mental lethargy where he was just like, he was primed, ready to go, but then once things started happening in there, or he took a shot, or he's just like, you know what, I've been here 100 times and I just don't want to do it again.
Umar Nurmagomedov fired back at Merab Dvalishvili. Recently, Merab made some comments on how the UFC is only pushing Umar because he's Khabib's cousin. Merab said he has a push because we all know why. He's Khabib's cousin. He's a good fighter. I have all the respect to him. It leaves me heartbroken when you see sometimes when you working hard. I wasn't sure if I was getting a title fight until 2 weeks ago. After I beat Jose Aldo, I was supposed to fight for the belt. After I beat Petr Yan, I was supposed to fight for the belt. After I beat Henry Cejudo, I wasn't sure. Nurmagomedov is a good fighter, but he got pushed. It's like cheating a little bit to get here. I have 12 fights in the UFC. I beat like 7 or 8 ranked fighters. Umar fired back via X. He wrote, Yan fought for a title after 6 win. O'Malley after 4 win. Merab could fight for a title with Aljo last year. You have to stop crying. You're just scared that I will take everything from you. Belal Muhammad expects his first title defense to be against either Shavkat Rakhmonov or Kamaru Usman. Speaking to MMA Junkie, Belal said, I see it being Shavkat. If he would have fought Jack Della Maddalena, it could have been 100% the clear contender. But I think the fact that they were almost close to booking him with JDM, they were hesitant on it. But I think he's, for me, the boogeyman. They all say he's the next guy. And I think out of all the guys, I think it's between him and Usman just because of Usman's legacy and who he is as one of the welterweights best. But yeah, for me, Dana White just has to call me and let me know. I'm just going to say, all right, cool. Didn't Colby Covington get a title shot off of 2 losses or off a loss? For Kamaru, he's up there with George St. Pierre. Even Dana White said he's better than GSP. So for my legacy and my name, he was always a guy I looked at and always thought I could beat. Even before Leon did it, I was like, I want to fight him. And it's fun because he's giving me that smoke back and forth. And I like build-ups like that. Jon Anik and Merab's coach Ray Longo discussed the upcoming fight against Sean O'Malley at the Sphere. Ray says that if Sean can't starch Merab, it's going to be a really long night for him.
Ray, we're going to spend so much of the Ray Longo minute over the next 5 to 6 weeks talking about Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili that I'm sort of reluctant to do so now, but I think in the context of Umar's emergence over the weekend and everything that's going on in the division, it makes a lot of sense. You're like minus 165 to beat this Sean O'Malley right now. And I know this is but one lens through which to look at the fight, but Johnny Avello is my friend. He sets the line at the DraftKings Sportsbook, and obviously it's commanding two-way action to some degree because the price really isn't moving. You know, I don't know if it speaks to Merab's style, his winning streak, or what, but for you guys to be favored against a champion like this, I don't know. I think it's pretty impressive. I don't know where it'll close, but, you know, don't f it up. You guys are favored to get the job done September 14th.
Yeah, listen, I think Merab's been waiting for this. I think you're going to have to kill him in there to stop him to get what he wants. I think that's what people are feeling. By no means would anybody take O'Malley for granted. I don't care what the odds are. So that's not going to happen. But Merab is Merab. He's going to do what Merab does. And if O'Malley really can't starch him, he's in for a really, really long night.
Israel Adesanya fights Dricus Du Plessis at UFC 305 for the middleweight title. Izzy says his goal is to prove that he's still that dude. Speaking to MMA Junkie, Izzy said, I missed it. I definitely missed it. I f***ing missed it. I missed this shit. That's really all I care about. Everything else is stupid. This is silly. The fight's already sold, but we have to go on this media shit. We have to do another press conference. I guess that's to hype the fight up even more. Then the face-off, then the weigh-ins, then the face-off. It's like, it's all f***ing stupid to me. I want to go in there and beat this up. So that's the exciting thing for me, and I'm going to do that. But again, it's just patience, and I'm a patient motherfucker. I knew it was time to come back when I was healed from my injuries that I was nursing. Once those things were all cleared by the doctors and I could train again, I gradually got back to the game. At the moment, what is fueling me is pretty much just showing myself off. I'm an entertaining, I'm a performer. I'm a guy that goes in and gets the job done. When I don't do that, it irks me. The last outing for me wasn't really me, so I just want to go off and show who I really am. Not really to anyone, just prove to myself that I'm still that dude, and I know that I am. Trust me. Dana White is getting roasted today on social media. As you guys know, one of the most popular memes in the MMA space right now is Dana glazing John Jones.
John Jones is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world and the greatest fighter ever. Period. End of story. Well, John Jones is ranked number 3 pound-for-pound in the world. Most ridiculous, embarrassing, stupid, know nothing about fighting ranking of all time. John Jones is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, period, end of story. To have anybody above John Jones right now just goes to show that you know absolutely nothing.
So this clip was circulating around social media last night of Dana losing his mind after seeing a John Jones collectible card.
Jan Blachowicz refractor. Ooh, John Jones.
That's bad.
That's a shot.
That is bad. Look at that card.
That's a very special card.
It's like the king.
That's nasty. Greatest fighter in the world.
We got a John Jones card that looks like a king. Are you kidding me right now?
To read off the top posts on X, Dana White is never beating the John Jones glazing allegations. This is very weird. Dana almost had an orgasm after seeing John Jones's card. LOL. He almost jumped out of his skin when he saw John Jones. It's gotta be attraction at this point. Dana's gonna over that card for the next 6 months. John has some inside info on Dana or something. Or he knows the fight in November is going to have zero hype, so he's doing everything in his power to try to brainwash newer fans? I don't know. All weird. Put Dana White and John Jones in a bedroom together. Dana's not walking out of that room. Bro has to be playing along at this point. There's no shot. I'd pray for Stipe to flatline him just to see Dana's reaction. And one user replied with this video of Dana at the post-fight press conference after John fought Dominic Reyes. It says, "Oh Dana."
I had Dominic Reyes 3-1 going into the last round. Reyes won that fight. But the reality is, who gives a None of us are judges. You know, the judging and the reffing. Do I think it was perfect? I do not. I think that we need to do some work down here.
And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. These comments are in reference to the Alex Bejeda situation. The first one's from Nah4215. It says, hopefully she gets sued into oblivion for this. The second one's from Tim Duo. It says, Alex should sue her for defamation. Dana should back him up with the UFC lawyers. And the final one's from Dr. Smegma Jones. It says, I was so scared that I went to train with him, meet him at a hotel after UFC 303, go to his room, get into bed with him naked, but I was so scared and just wanted to cuddle. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.